The name is Walter Goldstein. I've had severe ear problems for many years. I've never found a very good resolution to them. I have gone through many audiology clinics. We're ranging from the not very good to the truly appalling. But fortunately, by keeping going, and from one to another, which incidentally cost rather a lot of money every time I needed new equipment, I managed to find your name in the, I forget where it was, probably in a magazine. And I decided to try a fifth or sixth company. And I was fortunate enough to find you. And so far, things have worked out very well. You have shown a far better understanding of my problems than most of the places I ever went to. The main problem was that at a very young age, I had a mastoid operation. It was the fashionable thing at that time. That was somewhere at the beginning of the 19th century. And it left me with an extremely winding, narrowing tube to my left ear. And every time I went for different audiology treatments, or to have the wax cleaned out, which accumulated in great heaps in my left ear, I ran into great difficulties and very little sympathy from the people who were supposed to alleviate them. So I came here and found at long last a break from this rather sad experience of both with audiologists and with medical people who were supposed to clear out the wax and any other problems with the hearing tube. And I've done well here. There's no question. I came across a staff who knew what they were looking for and how to do things, and to do it in a very sympathetic as well as an effective manner. Well, I needed it. I needed it for two reasons. The first is that I'm a professor of a very difficult subject, namely international economics and trade. And I believe that any university that's any good teaches by having an ongoing dialogue with my students. And that becomes very difficult if you can't hear the students. And I used to sit right in the middle of the class instead of at the professorial desk at the top of the class in order to hear what the students were asking, or in many cases arguing with me about, which I greatly enjoyed. Fortunately, I found you, and you have found a way of being able to show me how to adjust the equipment, how to look for different programs, how to look for a little remote control that made it. It always was a great embarrassment to take out my hearing aid in the middle of a class and to adjust it and then put it back in, and the students often making faces at each other to indicate, who's this old josser who keeps on fixing stuff right in the middle of a good discussion. So that was a great benefit. But the critical thing about it, of course, was that the women were very intelligent and and empathetic in looking for what the problems were and how to adjust to them, and gave a considerable amount of time to doing so. In many places, I was rushed in and out on a 5-minute visit, and not much sympathy, let alone empathy, was expressed. And I came to accept a rather negative view that you went to an audiologist who did or did not know his or her job, and that you were pushed out the front door because there were so many other patients waiting outside, and that if there was other work to be done, there was always a very suspicious way of charging for the additional work, which hasn't happened here by a long shot. So I gradually got used to a very enhanced performance with some charming people to look after me. And my wife, the psychoanalyst, asking at each stage what's happening now, as well as who are these charming women who you're always talking about. But so long as she knew about them, that didn't seem to be a problem at all. But it was a way of saying that she had the most intimate way of knowing what was happening and what was improving, and improving is what happened. And that made our marriage a much more pleasant and eventful one.
Good. And then lastly, if you could give some advice to somebody who was hesitant to wear hearing aids for whatever reason, but knows that they need them, what advice would you give them to help them proceed?
Well, when you talk about what the patient has to do, the first thing is to be very flexible and to adjust to new modes of conversation, new techniques, having a wireless antenna strung around your neck and broadcasting to whoever's in the vicinity, and to realize that if you could work with the audiologist to better refine what were the problems and how to take care of them, then clearly life was going to be a lot easier and a lot better to work with. And the success of my career was after many years and attempts to find good audio equipment and good audio personnel who knew their stuff, with the result that at my tender age, I went back to teaching, and so did my wife. And it was largely because I managed to make such progress with audiology, and for that, I really give great thanks.